Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and happy Idul Fitri. Okay, so our group today will present about a comparison between 6 imam of hadith on the rules of acceptance and rejection of hadith. So before we start, let me introduce our group member. Okay, so first of all, me, Khadijah binti Hassan, is the leader of the group and will present about the introduction and Imam Bukhari. Huda binti Bustamam will present about Imam Muslim and will be the one that compare video. Next, Nurul, Izzah, Adibah binti Muhammad Amran that will present about Tirmizi and Abu Dawud. Meanwhile, Syaza Iman binti Anuar will present about Nasa'i and Ibn Majah, and also will conclude the comparison between 6 imam of hadith on the rules of acceptance and rejection of the hadith. As stated at the title, that is a comparison between 6 imam hadith. So let me introduce who is the 6 imam. Okay, it is Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Abu Dawud, Imam Tirmizi, Imam Nasa'i and Imam Ibn Majah. Okay, this is imam called Imam Sittah, and their books that are being compiled are called Al-Kamal, that consists of Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sunan Abu Dawud, Sunan Tirmizi, Sunan Ibn Majah and Sunan An-Nasa'i. So first, let's take a look about Imam Bukhari. Okay, Imam Bukhari will only accept the hadith with continuous chain. So if the hadith has a break chain, the hadith will not be accepted, as the narrator will drop a chain or so on. Okay, second, the narrator must be an other person, that means an honest person. If the narrator had been caught liar before or had been fabricated hadith, the hadith will not be accepted for Sahih Bukhari. Okay, third, narrator has perfect memory. So if the narrator is a forgetful person, then the hadith that be narrated will not be accepted. Okay, fourth, there is no shaz in the hadith. That means the hadith that be narrated is tally with the another hadith that be narrated with a second person. So if the hadith is contrast with another hadith that is more trustworthy than the hadith that being narrated, so the hadith will be rejected. Okay, for there is no illah or defect in the hadith. Defect means that the sanad or the narrator had a problem, so the hadith will not be accepted. Okay, the special rule that only Imam Bukhari had it is the narrator must meet with another narrator to narrate the hadith. It must be made face to face, not being hear indirectly. Okay, so that is the special rule that only imply to Imam Bukhari. Okay, so let's take a look about the example of hadith from Bukhari. Haddathana Abdul an Abdullah an Ibrahim ibn Tahmana qala haddathani Al-Husayn Al-Muktibu an ibn Buraidah an Imran ibn Husayn radiyallahu alaihi wasallam an as-salah faqala صلى قائما فإن لم تستطع فقائدا فإن لم تستطع فعلى جنب رواه البخاري. So this hadith tell us what to do if the person can afford to stand. Okay, if you can see the book, the turquoise color is the narrator of the hadith, and it still have a continuous sanad, and the narrator is being known that the narrator is being known as it fulfill the requirement of being narrator. Okay, so why the hadith from Sahih Bukhari is more priority than hadith Muslim? Okay, this is first because the Imam Bukhari has more strict rules from the Muslim, as the Imam Bukhari require that the narrator of the hadith need to meet face to face in order to narrate the hadith. Second, disputed hadith in Sahih Bukhari is less than Sahih Muslim. Third, Imam Bukhari is more idealized in ilmu hadith, as Imam Muslim is the student from Imam Bukhari. So that's all from me. Let's proceed to our next presenter.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, I'm going to explain how Imam Muslim examined the hadith to report in his book. So first, the hadith must a continuous chain. Second, Imam Muslim required the narrators, the sikah narrators that connected to Sahabah. Third, Imam Muslim also required the narrators that meet the conditions of authenticity of the hadith, which those 5 conditions. No shaz, continuous chain, a good care of hadith, the credibility of the narrators, and the matter is not against the Al-Quran. So next, he just choose hadith sahih to put in his book. And the last one is Imam Muslim only selected the hadiths which were free of all defects. Other words, the hadith must not have shaz. Because of this rule, the Sahih of Imam Muslim is regarded as next Al-Bukhari in accuracy and authenticity. So, as for example, I take hadith about greeting. Haddathani Uqbatu bin Mukram, Haddathana Abu Asim, an Ibn Jurayj, وحدثني محمد بن مرزوق حدثنا روح حدثنا ابن جريج أخبرني زياد أن ثابتا مولى عبد الرحمن بن زيد أخبره أنه سمع أبا هريرة يقول قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يسلم الراكب على الماشي والماشي على القائد والقليل على الكثير.
As for Imam Abu Dawud, he did not apply a strict condition on accepting the hadith. Not all hadith in Sunan Abu Dawud is continuous chain. There are some break chain hadith, hadith sahih, Hassan, da'if, and as well as the probable and the controversial are accepted. As for weak hadith, he explained the weaknesses, and most hadith that is included in Sunan Abu Dawud are in state of Hassan. Other than that, he only chose hadith marfu to recount on his book. Hadith mawquf and hadith maktub are not inserted. Here is an example of hadith from Abu Dawud. Haddathana Abdullah ibn Maslamah bin Qanabin al-Qanabi. Haddathana Abdul Aziz, ya'ni ibn Muhammad, an Muhammad, ya'ni ibn Amrin, an Abi Salamah, an al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا ذهب مذهب أبعاد. Narrated by Mughira ibn Shu'bah, when the Prophet went outside to relieve himself, he went to a far off place. As for Imam Tirmizi, he also did not apply a strict condition on accepting the hadith. Hadith sahih, Hassan, da'if, gharib, and mu'allal is accepted. After he mentioned a weak hadith, he also explains the state of its weaknesses. Next, narrator must be an honest person. Imam Tirmizi never narrated hadith from those who have fabricated hadith, and he only accepts hadith mursal when there is a chain of narrator which is not broken that supports the hadith. If the chain of narrator is broken, the hadith will be rejected. So here is an example of hadith from Imam Tirmizi. حدثنا أبو بكر محمد بن زنجويه البغدادي وغير واحد قال حدثنا الحسين بن محمد حدثنا سليمان بن قرم عن أبي يحيى القتاد عن مجاهد عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مفتاح الجنة الصلاة ومفتاح الصلاة الوضوء. Narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the key to paradise is salah, and the key to salah is wudu.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So next we are going to present about Imam Nasa'i. So here's the rules of acceptance and the rules of rejection by Imam Nasa'i. First of rules of acceptance is Imam Nasa'i is very strict on the condition of the rawi of hadith. He only picked hadith sahih in his book. Next is no illah found in matan hadith, and no element of bid'ah in context of aqidah, and usually hadith from first tabaqah, second tabaqah, and third tabaqah is only accepted. Or tabaqah is the each stage of narrating the hadith. So next is the rules of rejection. First is the condition of the rawi hadith that does not meet his requirements can be rejected, and there have illa found in matan hadith also be rejected, and also have an element of bid'ah in context of akidah. And lastly is hadith from 4th tabaqah and above are not accepted in Sunan Nasa'i. So next is the example of hadith from Sunan Nasa'i. So here is the basically hadith about dua iftitah. Anna Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kana idza istaftaha as-salah kabbara thumma qala wajjadtuhu wajhiya allazi fatara as-samawati wal ard hanifa wa ma ana minal musyrikin inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alamin la syarika lahu wa bidzalika umirtu wa ana minal muslimin. So here's the dua iftitah. It's the dua we read between takbiratul ihram and Suratul Fatiha in the Salah. So next is about Imam Ibn Majah. So the rules of acceptance by Sunan Ibn Majah is hadith sahih, Hassan and da'if is accepted, and hadith munkar and maudu also can be found in his books, even a few. The rules of rejection is no rejection on this level of hadith. In Sunan Ibn Majah, there is many level of Sunan Ibn Majah, and the forged hadiths are not a majority. The hadith munkar and maudu is not a majority. It's only a few in Sunan Ibn Majah. So here's the example of hadith from Sunan Ibn Majah. Anna Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala liyuballigh shahidukum ghaibakum. It means those who are present should inform those who are absent. So this hadith is from Sunan Ibn Majah from Kitab Muqaddimah. So here's the comparison between the 6 imams. All 5 imams except Imam Ibn Majah not accepting the munkar and maudu hadith in their books. Only Imam Ibn Majah does. And Imam Nasa'i have same level with Imam Bukhari and Muslim. He's very strict on the hadith in his book, but he recounts some of weak hadith in his book. Next is other scholars stated and noted the weak hadith in their book, while for Imam Ibn Majah not state and noted the weak hadith in his book. It's kept silent in his book. Next is Sunan Ibn Majah includes 1,339 additional hadiths known as Zawaid of Sunan Ibn Majah, which are not found in the other 5 major books of hadith, and this addition elevated to the position of the Kutub Sittah. Sunan Ibn Majah contains a larger number of hadiths than any other 5 books without repetition. This is because there are many weak hadiths than the other 5 stated in his book.
For summarize, we take a look at 3 aspects, which are the narrators, sanad, and how the imams choose their hadith. For the first, sanad, Imam Muslim and Imam Bukhari the hadith must be a continuous chain, while the others it can be in continuous chain or in a break chain. Okay. For narrator, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, and Imam Nasa'i, the narrator must fulfill the requirement of narrator. But for Imam Ibn Majah and Imam Abu Dawud, it is not a must. And for Imam Tirmizi, it is not a must, but the narrator must be an ideal person. And the last one is how the imam choose the hadith. All imam except Imam Nasa'i choose hadith sahih, but for Imam Ibn Majah and Imam Abu Dawud, they also choose hadith Hassan and hadith da'if. And for Imam Tirmizi, it is the same as Imam Abu Dawud and Imam Ibn Majah, but Imam also choose hadith Rawibi and hadith Mu'allal. And Imam Nasa'i choose the hadith from 1st, 2nd, and 3rd tabaqah.
So as the conclusion is, Sihah Sittah is important to Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah for us in order for understanding hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lastly, each of all Sunnah Sittah have a particular importance in the system of study of the hadith, which is the fundamental principle that must be learned before studying other books of the hadith. Thank you.